Perez Hilton's mental health breakdown on TikTok Live. Let's get into it. If you know someone suffering from a mental health crises, check out my links below for helplines and resources. If you don't know who Perez Hilton is, he's a 48-year-old gossip columnist and blogger. He's been in the industry for over 25 years. At the beginning of his career, he was known as a bully. He was very vicious and ruthless. He would come up with very mean nicknames, edit photos in a very cruel way. He was known for drawing explicit, mocking, and degrading doodles directly on celebrity photographs before posting them. He had forcibly outed several gay celebrities, such as Lance Bass from NSYNC, Clay Aiken from American Idol, and Neil Patrick Harris. He also was known to target minors. He had published underskirt photos of Taylor Momsen, Miley Cyrus, Tallulah Willis. He also viciously targeted Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Misha Barton when they were going through their own mental health crises. In 2010, he went on the Ellen DeGeneres show and did a whole mea culpa and made a promise that he would no longer come after celebrities in such a vile, malicious, and disgusting manner, and stop using the nasty nicknames. And since then, he has made a change in the way that he covers celebrities, and he no longer engages in those vicious attacks. Fast forward, we're in 2026. He's been running his own gossip column website. He's now turned into a quasi-influencer. And since the whole tech landscape has changed, social media has totally changed, his business has been suffering. In March of this year, Perez reported that he took some flu medication on an empty stomach, which resulted in a 3-week hospitalization. He said that he had developed an ulcer and then a perforation and then sepsis. Just 1 month after he was released from the hospital, he suffered a massive blood clot and needed emergency surgery. And since then, he's been trying to recover and get better physically. He spoke about having near-death experiences during both of those hospitalizations, finding God. He's also pivoted a little bit more towards speaking about religion, and even his latest merch drop has a lot of religious tones. And he was sharing that it was really difficult financially for him, that in essence, he was feeling squeezed. This week, he was posting as usual. He just covered Ariana Grande's health concerns. He appeared to be doing fairly well, both mentally and physically. For those of you that have come across, either you saw the video or the clips, you can go ahead and skip forward because I'm going to describe it a little bit to those that haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I would not recommend you seek it out or the clips. They are incredibly disturbing and upsetting. He appears on camera fully nude. He is drenched in blood. If you've seen the movie Carrie, it looks eerily similar. He's also seen holding a very large knife. He's cutting himself, cutting his body. He has dozens of cut marks all over his arms and his chest, his neck, his head. He's also seen bending over to cut his legs and his thighs, his back, and even his buttocks area. He's making statements like calling himself a parasite loser. He's also seen saying, "I'm doing this for my kids." He was jumping on to different friends' live streams, and when his friends see him, they're telling him like, "Hey, well, what are you doing?" or "Stop that." He's saying, "Oh, I'm committing suicide." And when you hear his voice, it does not sound like him. He didn't sound manic to me. He wasn't speaking in a frantic, frazzled, disoriented manner, but he did appear to be dissociated. After about 30 plus minutes of this streaming live on TikTok, authorities were able to get into his home and save him from himself. The family has since released a statement. Just minutes before the public live stream incident, Perez's children children, niece, and sister were inside the home. When it became clear that Perez was experiencing a severe mental health crisis and harming himself, they immediately fled to protect the children from witnessing any further trauma. So his family, his children were inside the home with him when this all started. We don't know the exact trigger at this point, but I want to show you the difference between non-suicidal self-harm and suicidality in terms of assessment. This is the non-suicidal self-injury assessment tool from Cornell. I've used this tool countless times, and it's an excellent tool in terms of exploring underlying causes of the self-harm. So this top part here lists what would constitute or be considered as self-harm, but we want to take a look at the causes of self-harm. So I hurt myself either to feel something because my friends hurt themselves, as a self-punishment or to atone for sins, to get a rush or surge of energy, to deal with frustration, to cope with uncomfortable feelings, i.e. depression or anxiety, in hopes that someone would notice that something is wrong or that so others will pay attention to me, so I don't hurt myself in other ways, because it feels good, to deal with anger, to get control over myself or my life, to shock or hurt someone, to avoid committing suicide because I get the urge and cannot stop it, to relieve stress or pressure, to change my emotional pain into something physical because of my self-hatred, because I like the way it looks, as a way to practice, or as a way to attempt suicide. Taking a look at suicidality and homicidality risk. Internal risk factors: acute change in mental status requiring medical workup like metabolic, infection, or toxicity. Over the age of 60, anhedonia, command hallucinations and or reality testing not intact, currently intoxicated, family history of successful suicide, feeling trapped like there's no way out, health problems, brain or nervous system disorders, history of non-compliance with psychiatric treatment, history of physical, emotional, or SA, intended victim and motive, male, mood disorders, schizophrenia or cluster B, eating disorders, anxiety, any comorbidities, obsessions surrounding intended victim, ongoing ETOH, which stands for alcohol of substance dependence, past violence towards others with injury or involving weapons, intended victim and motive, rage, anger, seeking revenge, reckless behavior, past attempt or plan with precaution taken to avoid rescue or discovery, postpartum depression, same-sex orientation, severe psychopathology. Environmental risk factors: access to lethal means, including firearms, active preparation for attempt, financial problems, interpersonal isolation, legal problems, loss of social status, shame or humiliation, recent change in antidepressant with increased or new SI or HI, that's suicidality or homicidality, recent death of loved one with reunion fantasies, recent history of suicide of friend, relationship problems, significant loss, unstable living situation, and chaotic environment. Some internal protective factors: core values and beliefs, fear of death, frustration tolerance, planning for future, positive coping skills, sense of purpose, sense of responsibility, spirituality, religious prohibition, successful past response to stress, other reasons for living, environmental protective factors, children, employment, pets, social supports, spouse, significant other, or additional reasons. Perez has never confirmed that he himself suffered from any type of post-sepsis psychiatric disorders. There is a lot of speculation that I'm seeing online that this episode or this breakdown that he had was caused by post-sepsis psychosis. Post-sepsis psychiatric disorder encompassing anxiety, depression, PTSD, and delirium is a highly prevalent complication secondary to sepsis, resulting in a marked increase in long-term mortality among affected patients. What they mean by mortality, it's not higher risk of self-harm or suicidal ideation. This is mortality caused by, for example, multi-organ failure. The pathophysiology of post-sepsis psychiatric disorder is complex and is known to involve blood-brain barrier disruption, overactivation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, neuroinflammation, oxidative stress, neurotransmitter dysfunction, programmed cell death, and impaired neuroplasticity. So issues with getting enough oxygen to the brain, neurotransmitters, the synapses are not communicating as smoothly. And with the neuroplasticity, the neural pathways are disrupted. So an example of this would be daily tasks that we do or routines that we do by rote that are disrupted. Like, for example, taking a shower or brushing our teeth. Typically, the psychiatric disorder of sepsis survivors manifests as depression, anxiety, and PTSD, all of which have a profound influence on their daily life as well as their ability to return to work following recovery. Additionally, delirium is also a neuropsychiatric symptom that can occur after sepsis. It manifests in a complex form characterized by cognitive deficits, attention deficits, circadian dysrhythmia, emotional dysregulation, and alteration in psychomotor function. There is no established treatment for post-sepsis psychiatric disorder. Research is still early on. Long-term symptoms can present for 6 months up to even 18 months after recovery. As of right now, we don't know what was the trigger, what was the cause of this breakdown. You can make the argument that someone with severe depression or chronic PTSD can experience suicidality as part of the symptoms. Sure, they can, but it's not necessary for either of those diagnoses. Anything that I've read about the post-sepsis psychosis, I don't see anything on explicit self-harm and explicit suicidality. As of now, Perez, his family released his first words from his hospital bed, and he reportedly said, "I need help." According to the Daily Mail, an insider close to the family shared Perez is really suffering. He's a man in a lot of pain. I think right now he's focused on the physical, but it's all tied together. No one deserves the torment he's going through. At this point, I'm hopeful that he is getting the care that he needs. I do wish him well. I know there's a lot of anger and frustration out there as well regarding TikTok and why he was allowed to live stream for so long, as well as all the people, all the teenagers who saw that live and who were traumatized. Once he's stable and strong enough, I really do think that he owes the public an apology. I understand and I empathize that yes, this is a mental health crisis, but you also have to remember that he was the one that went on the app. He was the one that clicked go live multiple times repeatedly because the stream kept getting taken down and shut down because of reporting. And he was actively continuing to go live, also going live with his friends and entering other chats. After he's recovered, I do really think that he should come out and give a public apology for this collective trauma that he's inflicted on everyone. All right, everyone, that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about all this? Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.